We are live. This is Senate Finance. Thank you, committee, for showing up with your lunch. This morning, the pro tem pulled me out of committee and said, this is the South Hero local options tax bill. And if you remember, the amendment that Senator Hardy is putting in will remove the whole South Hero option, the whole section, which I believe leaves South Hero without a charter and without a local options tax. We voted to remain neutral because it really, we thought we were helping out GovOps.
Do that.
Yeah, and didn't want to get into a jurisdictional fight. However, the pro tem feels that we need to give guidance to the rest of the body, either with an up or down vote on the amendment. And Senator Montiel, you haven't had a chance to talk to us, so I thought I'd give you equal time, since we didn't know this was going to be controversial.
Well, I didn't think it was either. When South Hero came to me, part of the season, in fact, it's the only bill I introduced. They had taken a vote and wanted the local option tax for South Hero. And I said, sure, it happens all the time. We do that all the time. So I introduced it. And then I found there was a little problem with some of the language or something. So I went to the legislative council and talked to them about it. And then I went across the hall to the Hardy and mentioned the fact, well, she said, no, it's not right. I'll write a letter to South Hero, which she never did, but, and I just thought that the league came this morning, matter of fact, the league just probably, we support the addition to S60 on the South Hero option tax. There's absolutely no reason to force the town to vote twice to adopt a local option tax. A reminder, the town of South Hero does not have a charter. The amendment would establish a charter for the town. There are approximately 70 towns that can adopt a local option tax, not going through the legislature today. I didn't think it was going to cause a big issue.
Who was that opinion from?
League of Cities and Towns.
The league, okay, yeah.
They got me this morning. And I think she's still chair of government operations, so adamant about not. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I just thought it was something that was quite simple. I know they didn't have proper language or whatever it was, but it was, everybody seems to inform me that it's perfectly normal to have this happen. So I'm as confused as anyone, and I'm not asking for any special favors. I'm just asking that this doesn't seem to violate any rules or regulations. And she still doesn't want to, I guess. I know she came in here yesterday, did she? And oppose it?
She opposed it on the floor. It got postponed till date certain.
29.
Right, and we said, well, if she didn't like our bill, she should write an amendment. So she came in yesterday afternoon, and the amendment would just strike out everything to do with South Hero, which I think leaves them without a charter.
Yeah, so I guess if that came out of here positive, I think we'd have a chance. So I don't know what else to say because I'm not familiar with this whole thing. I thought it was just a simple amendment. You know, I say that in seriousness because when I introduced it, I said it was something that we do often. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but it's not working.
Well, apparently nobody told the town they had to get a charter before they could do a charter change.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said, as a reporter, Bill, I said it before, that they didn't do this right. And this repairs what they did wrong. And I think, I don't know if I mentioned at that time, but we did consider the fact that it wasn't done properly, but we felt that since this eliminated the 1% anyway, the fact they didn't have a charter became immaterial. You know, it's in fact, a de minimis violation. And since they have had a vote.
So
I would hate that. I hate to postpone it for another year because I thought it was going to be an easy solution. That's great special. And now they're asking her if she wants to wait next year. good point. I think
I-
you agree.
Yeah. I think we thought we were just helping a town who made a mistake.
Yeah.
I mean, it isn't like they were voting to get themselves.
And
A
something that
grant.
we would have done anyway,
Yeah.
and that whenever this has come up in the past, it's been essentially a rubber stamp. I don't think we've ever, to the best of my knowledge, denied it.
I think the extra thing in this is they don't have a charter, so they
How
have
much
to.
money do you know how much money they anticipated getting?
I don't, excuse me, I didn't ask that.
And I don't remember what the vote was either. I know it's probably somewhere. I'll ask Tucker
It's a
upstairs.
tourist area, so they probably can make some money.
I've been in touch with David Carter because, in fact, we called this week, we called the House members, want to know what's happening. And I called him again today, he wasn't there, I left a message. Dave, I'm embarrassed, I don't know what to tell you, because I said, I don't think anything I'm doing illegal, but somehow the chair of government operations is adamant about what she wants to do. I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing wrong.
I think my concern is that if that goes through, and she was very clear, she has no intention of taking it up. South here was left without a charter and without, and I don't know if they can vote, I don't think they can vote to do a local options tax until they vote in a charter, which then has to come to us, which then they have to then vote in a local options tax, which then has to come to
Well, the
us.
question is, if we pass the bill as amended with those two sections out, then the effective date for the ability of towns to do that is what, July 1?
Yeah,
And at that point, if they had an election in July to do it without having a charter, they could do it then, couldn't they? They don't have to have a charter. We don't,
they have to have a charter to, she says they have to have a charter to do a charter, because it's a charter change to allow elections.
Unless the language in Act, yes, but yeah, I understand the language in Act 6 or S60 would make it so they wouldn't need a charter, that they could just do it. I have.
We're just a little town that never bothered to get a charter. They run on state, like most towns, they run on what we tell them.
I don't have the.
So I guess,
Well, they wanted to question the fact that they cited the wrong provision in law. To me, is, excusable, because there was no intent to confuse someone or obscure anything. They put a question, wasn't properly phrased legally, but they held the vote, and so their intent to me seems quite clear.
That's what you said it right. That's why, like I said, I'm so confused.
No skullduggery.
Yeah, but this doesn't say a charter, I don't, if I'm reading correctly, and of what we're passing, section 1 of S60 eliminates the criteria in subsection A to allow any Vermont municipality to adopt a 1% local option tax on sales, meals, and alcoholic beverages and rooms.
and that would help,
That eliminates the charter requirement, doesn't it?
That's my
I think
understanding.
so.
That was the idea.
Yeah, and so at that point, once we do that, as of July 1, if, you got to the point of forcing
She
a
wants them
vote,
to vote again.
they could vote again, but they wouldn't have to wait a year to do it.
Well, they'd have to call a special election.
Yeah, they have to call a special election, and, the notion of, for that cost for something that they could do otherwise just seems pointless.
And Madam Chair, this is in here, this is our jurisdiction because it has a tax. But the bone of contention is not about tax per se. It's about things like the charter, the proper conduct of the election. And that, we're out of our element on that. I mean, I don't claim
We
expertise
are.
on this committee. I think, is it possible to delay a vote on this for a day until we get?
We
legal
are
counsel?
delaying the vote on everything.
I know,
I
but-
think this may be the only thing that's up there.
But this one, I mean, we really need legal counsel. I don't know. I don't know.
The draft person, excuse me, I think it's Tucker, isn't it? Yes, that's, he's the one that I went to and drafted the bill. That's,
I know, is Tucker available? We can ask to pass over it till we can get legal counsel.
appreciate whatever you can do, because I just,
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing wrong here, but I know there's been a mistake made, but I think it could be corrected
Okay,
in 8 years.
so committee, what would you like to do? We can go up and say, we voted not to support the amendment. We remained neutral. which leaves the entire body up in the air. Or we leave Senator Brock to field the questions. Or we can say, yeah, fine, it's their jurisdiction and
When we say, yes, we support it, we recognize that it's been done improperly, and we direct the secretary to send a nasty letter to the town for its failure, or words to that effect.
that would work.
So we admonish them for that failure, but we,
Okay. So,
So I'm not clear, so you want to,
Well, so.
I would approve it myself.
You would approve it?
I would.
I maybe could,
Yeah.
but I want to be standing on more solid
Yeah,
ground than I'm
so-
on right now.
Again, if we're comfortable to take a day to do it, that's fine with me.
so
let's
we're-
see if we can get Tucker in here when we get off the
Temper
floor
our decision with mercy,
or whenever.
but we're not forcing the town to go through all this.
Because I don't think we're gonna have 2 hours on the floor.
it's not clear, I understand what you're advocating
Today.
for.
I'm advocating that we vote to not support their amendment and to allow the bill to go forward as it reads, recognizing that there was an error made by the town, but that the will of the voters of the town is clear, and that it's something that they would be allowed to do under this bill, even if amended and that perhaps we do send a letter to the town indicating that we are concerned by their error.
We might rather than not support their amendment, just substitute.
I was just gonna say a substitute amendment.
It's just less. Slack.
It also means the conversation goes to the.
Well,
What would the
if
substitute
we
amendment
don't
say?
pass our amendment, then the bill
Yes.
stands, it goes forward.
Yeah, what you just said.
We don't need to substitute.
No, just do
It's in
an
the
additional paragraph that essentially says, the General Assembly recognizes that what the town of South Hero proposes is improper, incorrect, or words to that effect, and we
Technical failure.
we will communicate, that despite the technical failure, we find it was no intent to deceive us, but nonetheless, we're going to slap their wrist.
We've got to be up there in 5 minutes.
And I need to also
You've
talk.
got- All right, so I'm going to do a thumbs up. Who is ready to vote negatively on the amendment?
Again, the amendment,
The amendment removes everything we put in on South Hero. It's not our amendment, it's Senator Hardy's amendment
okay, and the question is, who's ready to vote negatively?
on that amendment.
As opposed to waiting a day and having legal counsel.
Yes.
Well, right now, we don't have to move. We can ask to have a letter sent to the town. I don't think that needs to be legislative. We can just say, we're really disappointed and we did this, but don't make it a habit.
Except, don't make it happen. It may be unconstitutional. I mean, that's the thing. The towns are creations of the state, and their powers are delegations of power from the state. And
And we are delegating right now in this bill. We're saying you were not a child, but we're saying it's okay. Are you,
Our bill, so why I don't know how we can't say we want to pass over.
I'm gonna say that.
Yeah.
Okay. They'll ask to pass it over. We'll get Tucker down
Yeah,
there.
Pass it over,
Pass it over.
sort it out.
Yeah, we're seeking counsel
Thank you.
for the lawsuit against government operated.
Hope they were expendable, the 80 guys that blew up all the oil facilities in the Southwest Pacific after Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
Totally without authority or whatever.
Who said she wasn't ready to do childcare today? So you're not doing that either.
They were expendable.